All right, so we have a large group today. I'm excited to spend the next probably about an hour with everybody. Quick shout out to some of my return people and some of my friends that I've worked with over the years. So hello to them. I'm excited to be presenting today. A quick overview, my name's Nicole Wise. I'm part of the marketing department here at Holganix. And just to give you a little bit about my background so that you understand where I'm coming from, I worked with the CEO and COO of Holganix for about, I think I'm going on 13 or 14 years now. And prior to starting Holganix, we worked on growing 2 lawn care companies. And the first one we grew, I'm starting to forget numbers now. It's been so long, but we grew it about 0 to I think about 5 million. And that took us a little while. We were a very local company, and we really started to figure out how the business worked and all of that. And it was a great local business that really had a name. We then moved on and started a second company, and that was called Happy Lawn. And Happy Lawn was, it grew from 0 to, again, I'm forgetting my numbers. I believe it's 10 million over 6 years. It was a huge roller coaster ride. You know, I wouldn't recommend it for too many people. It's a lot of growth really fast and a lot of energy. So, but it was really exciting, and it was a great business, and we were excited to grow that business. So from those 2 companies, I learned a lot from Barrett and Dave, and we worked together on a lot to learn some marketing and some production efficiencies and ways to grow businesses. So through that experience, I was able to build the webinar that I'm presenting today. As we get moving along, I'm going to probably ask for a volunteer or 2. I would appreciate any input. If you notice, if you're new to webinars, there is a little webinar bar to the side, and you can type questions. There should be a section there that says questions, and you can type any questions to me. I've been responding to a few people already that were just saying hello and good morning. Feel free to write any questions in there, and I can answer them as I go along, and I might unmute somebody to hopefully have a volunteer. It makes it a little more real as we move along to have somebody working with me through this, and it makes it not so bad to hear my voice for over an hour. So welcome, and with that, I'll get started. So today, the overview of the webinar, things that we're going to go through, we're going to talk about a concept called the marketing machine. I think this is a really important piece to understand as you build out your marketing plan for 2017. Inbound and outbound, this is a huge topic and always a question, so I'm going to talk about the difference in the 2 and where we're going to go today and why. And then the next one, you know, it's so overwhelming to look at the whole year and what you want to do and what you want to accomplish, and the goals can get overwhelming. But if you start big and then start breaking it down into manageable chunks, it makes it much easier. So we're going to start looking at how to start big, look at the overview, and then start breaking it down. And then the next topic we're going to talk about is growth versus marketing dollars. If those 2 are not in line, then you have a problem. And so many times I hear people, oh, I want to grow, I want to grow, I want to grow my business, but I only have this many dollars. So let's make sure we put those 2 in harmony and make sure we're using the dollars to get the growth that you want, and be very specific there. And then there's 3 categories of campaigns that I think are really important, specifically in outbound marketing. And we'll go through those 3 different sections of campaigns. One is low-hanging fruit, the second is golden streets, and the third is direct mail. So those are the 3 categories we're going to go through. And then we'll talk about mistakes that I've had people make over the years as we've gone through this, and things that I found that just help people kind of stay on track. So we'll walk through those. Again, any questions, you will receive this webinar, this PowerPoint presentation at the end, or probably tomorrow. Katie will send that out, as well as we're going to work through an Excel spreadsheet, and you'll receive a blank one of those as well. So as we progress through this, keep in mind that you'll receive everything tomorrow as well as probably a recording as well. So we'll keep working through this. Right. Again, don't feel free to answer as questions down in your category there. So let's talk about the marketing machine. The marketing machine is actually a concept that I gathered from a gentleman by the name of Eric Kalis. He has a book called Reality Marketing, and the concept is that a marketing machine, when somebody, a prospect, first hears your name, very first time they ever hear your name, they enter your marketing machine, and that is at the letter A. And Z is when they buy, and they buy when their pain is greatest. Okay? Now, your prospect has to go through your marketing machine with lots of other marketing out there, right? We're all overwhelmed with advertising between TV and radio and billboards and mail and email, and it's just coming at us in so many directions. So the concept is that you have to be the one they think of when their pain is greatest. And that pain might be at B, it might be at L, it might be at Y, it might be at Z, who knows? But they could jump from A to Z, Z being when they buy, they could jump from C to Z, but it's when their pain is greatest. And so what that means is we can't just do one thing. We can't just send one postcard. We can't just email one time and think that people are going to buy and remember our services. We're just too inundated by advertising these days as buyers. So you need to figure out a way to continue to market over and over to people in a way that does not blow up your budget. So that's where the marketing dollars versus growth come in, and how these campaigns we're going to look at over time. You'll see how I lay out a lot of different things that you can do. And you have to keep in mind that it's not just one of these things. It's something that you need to stay in front of. And maybe you pick a small list and keep doing these things to a small list or a medium list or a certain neighborhood or certain things. So you're going to, as you see this webinar unfold, you're going to see a lot of different ideas. And what I want you to keep in mind is you always want to be doing multiple things to the same people. It's just a day of too much advertising. So you're going to hear me talk a lot about the marketing machine as we go along today. Inbound versus outbound. So I get a lot of questions about this. Inbound is considered, new school, while outbound is kind of old school marketing. Inbound marketing, I love inbound marketing. It's you're proving that you're an expert and you're really building trust. You're doing social media, you're doing blogging, your content generation, blogs, videos, email blasts, all those things fall into the inbound category. You're kind of putting information out there in the inbound category and letting people come to you rather than you begging them to come, okay? I love inbound marketing. If you look at Holganix as a brand and the marketing that Holganix has done, we do a lot of inbound marketing. We've got the blog going, we've got videos, we are doing email blasts, we do a lot of inbound marketing. And I love it. It's really, helped us bring kind of a new technology or an old technology come new again to the forefront in our industry. And it's great. However, it took a lot of time to build our lists and build our people and build that section. Kate, who I'm sure you've heard from her from different blogs and things like that. That was her full-time job in the beginning, and she spent many years just kind of getting that up and moving. And so therefore, it's hard to prove your ROI. It's hard to say this is exactly how much return on your investment you're getting when you put into inbound. So today's webinar specifically is going to talk more about outbound methods. Yes, it's called it's considered old school, but I can prove your ROI. I can tell you what your results are going to be. I can tell you how much your costs are going to be, and I can put those in alignment. If you're really looking to expand and grow quickly, inbound and outbound, put them together, and it's a fabulous, fabulous marketing program. But today I'm really going to just focus on those outbound methods. Before I move on, is there any questions? Cody talking about building the universe. Absolutely, that's absolutely spot on. You got to build your universe, build the group that you're going to go out and market to, and that takes time in inbound and outbound. It takes time as well. The longer you're in business, the more you build that universe, but it takes time either side. But outbound, we can do more we have more ways to get to that universe. Any other questions? All right, let's keep moving. So when we jump into the spreadsheet today, we're going to start really big. It's a new year coming, right? Everybody's looking to 2017. This is what we want to do. New Year's is going to come. We're going to set our goals. So in order to really start this process, because today what we're going to go through is really a process that's going to take some time. It's going to take you really sitting down, working through things. I think somebody, Shar is on. She was on with her company last month. She's back again. She's done some homework, done some work, coming back and has more questions, wants to regroup again and relook at it. So this is a process you're going to go through. And the first step is really to look at your big picture. What's the current state of affairs? Where does your company stand right now? What's your current revenue? How many customers do you have? What's your revenue per customer? Do many of your customers have more than one program? So you're doing a lot of upselling. You're selling them grub. You're selling them aeration. You're selling them tree and shrub. Are you getting more revenue out of your customers than just straight fertility program, and making sure you're really upselling to all of your current customers and making sure you're getting the most revenue there. And then really the big question is, what's your customer or revenue goal for 2017? You can look at that in different ways. Some people look at their company at a customer number, and other people look at it as a revenue goal. So either way, what's that goal for 2017? Where do you want to go? And of course, if you're going to do that, then it's really important to make sure your growth is in line with your marketing dollars. I'd love to tell you you're going to grow your company by not spending any money, but we all know that that's not going to happen very easily. You can do it very boots on the ground, and you can grow a company without spending much money, but it's going to take a long time. So putting your growth and your marketing dollars in line is really important. In this industry, you should be aiming for about $100 to $125 average cost per sale. So I'm going to talk about some campaigns, and they're going to be more expensive than 100 and 125. But at the end of the season, if you add up all your campaigns, add up all the money you've spent on those campaigns and how many new customers you got, that should give you an average cost per sale of $100 to $125. Now, depending on the age of your company, again, building that universe takes some time and some money. So sometimes if you're a newer company or a smaller company that hasn't really started building that universe, sometimes that might go up to $150, which just means you're eating into your profit a little more. If you're an older company and you've really just built and built and built and built and haven't used the universe that you've built, then you can really get that cost per sale down $75, $50 average cost per sale. But that would be a company that really has a lot of their universe already created and they haven't used it a lot. So, we're looking at an average. In the industry, the standard is $100 to $125. So once we go through that first step, the first step that we're going to talk about in our looking at the big picture, and looking about where we want to go, we're going to say, okay, do I have enough money in the budget to grow the way you want to grow? Okay, making sure they are balanced and in line is really important. Looks like I have some questions here, so let me just take a minute and go back. Let's see, somebody's asking, are we going to do a seminar in the future on inbound? It is on the docket. I don't have a time frame of when that will be prepared, but we have been talking about building that out and putting that together, but I don't have a time frame for you. Any tips for tracking cost per sale? Absolutely. You know, you want to really get your costs in line, and I think making sure when you're entering your data into your system, making sure you're always asking people, where did you hear about us? And that can be a little discouraging sometimes, maybe. Discouraging might not be the right word. Deceptive. Because what made them buy is what they're going to tell you. Whatever they remember in their marketing the most is what they're going to tell you what made them, you know, why they called. And they might say, oh, I saw your truck. Well, if they saw your truck, but they've also seen your postcard and a letter you sent them and a lawn sign and, you know, then all of a sudden they see your truck, well, they've just seen you enough over and over again. So it can be a little deceptive, but definitely asking every customer, new prospect, new customer that comes on, how they heard about you, and pulling those numbers at the end of the season to say, okay, where did our new sales come from? What is that cost per sale coming from? Great questions. All right, that seems like all of our questions, so I'm going to keep going. And if we back up a second, let's see. If we back up a second, I said, you know, we're going to start with this big picture. We're going to start and look at our current state of affairs, look at where do we want to go in 2017. And that number, that 2017 number that you want to go to can be very overwhelming. So once you've figured out that number, then it's really important to break those numbers down into small, manageable goals. I like to compare this to weight loss. You know, you're trying to lose weight or you're trying to get fit and go to the gym and you want to lose 20 pounds. You want to, you know, be able to lift a certain amount of weight. You don't start by saying, oh, tomorrow I'm going to lose all 20 pounds, or this month I'm going to lose all 20 pounds. I'm going to just lift this big dumbbell, right? You have to break it down into manageable and reasonable goals. So as we move into the spreadsheet, which we're going to do in just a second, you're going to see where the spreadsheet will break down your goals into monthly and weekly goals. So the bell curve is used. It's not anything magical. If you have some numbers from your past, you can absolutely adjust these. So I think, Shar, I'm going to use you as an example. She had her some of her people, and they pulled their sales, how many sales they got, what percentage of their season sales they got in January, February, March, April, May, and June from the past 2 years, and we were able to average those together and say, okay, well, this is how they fall for them. And that by having 2 seasons, it meant that we could adjust for weather there and have a good average. So the way the spreadsheet is built is a simple bell curve. Because I'm using percentages, sometimes the numbers don't quite add up, but they're just off by just decimals. So keep that in mind as you go through. But it's still a great path to get you to where you want to go. And don't wait. So many people say to me, oh, there's snow on the ground. Nobody wants to think about their lawn. Or, oh, the weather's just awful. Nobody's thinking about it. It takes time to get warmed up. it takes time for that engine to really be moving. So make sure you start, I say a January 1, come back after that holiday and just start those wheels turning. You know how hard it is getting back after the holidays, getting moving. Get that flywheel started. Even though it feels a little rough, start moving that engine, that sales engine. Okay, and as you look at these months, and we're gonna, in the spreadsheet, I'll probably repeat this. I've left May as a buffer month because somehow something in here never goes the way you want it to go. January, you end up going to the Real Green Conference and this and that, and you don't do anything in January, and now you're behind. Or we get so much snow that things just move really slow in January, February. Or, hey, it was a really warm season. Oh, I wish, I'm sorry, some of you do snow and you don't wish that, but if we had a warm season and some of these moved up, then you have room to adjust. Okay, so, and I've seen that. I've seen where there's no sales in May because it was such a warm season that people bought early. So May's just your buffer month to kind of be able to adjust as things go on. In June, your new customer sales die. I would spend no marketing dollars to get new customers in June. Even by the end of May, things should be working on their own, but June, you want to start working on upselling your current customers. So I don't put anything into June. I go January to May, and even May is that buffer month. Okay, so this is where the small manageable goals start coming in. And this is the monthly version. The next page on our spreadsheet is actually going to be then going into weekly goals, because up here in our monthly goals in March we're going to get 43 new sales. Like, that seems crazy. But then if we start breaking it down into weekly manageable goals, it seems much more manageable and much more doable. So that's where the spreadsheet's going to go. We're going to jump into the spreadsheet and bring this plan into reality. So it'll take me a second to jump out here. I also think I have a question or two again, and I would love, 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 love a volunteer. So if somebody, while I'm looking and answering questions, think about being a volunteer, that would really help me out. It allows you guys to really make this plan seem real, and it also helps you not hear my voice over and over and over again. So if you're willing to be a volunteer, if you could type in under questions just that you would volunteer. All right, let's see some questions here. How do I make this bigger? I'm sorry, I'm having trouble seeing my questions. Give me 1 second. What does a detailed cost per sale analysis look like? I'd have to do some digging. I have one. I've done them, but I don't have an answer off the top of my head. I think it would, you start out with what marketing dollars did you spend, what campaigns did you run, how much did they cost, and then how many new customers did that gain you. So that's something that we can build on, and I have some examples as we move on, but I don't have the answer right at the tip of my tongue or here that I can access easily. And I think this is Shar was telling me, yeah, she brought those 2 years of experience in, and she said it was extremely helpful because she was always guessing in the past. So if you can really go back and look at some old years, that really helps. This person says, I found people are quite receptive to sales calls about lawn programs for the next year. There's a huge market of people who just like to pay once and forget about it. Yeah, so again, that goes back to not waiting. People want to hear about it. People want to talk about it, and they want to pay for it. You know, do that prepay and be done with it and forget about it and know they're covered for the season. So waiting, you know, people, I can't tell you how many people say, oh, I'm waiting, and the weather's not good, and you're just losing time, and then by the time you get started, you're cold, and then you're kind of missing the season. So what about tick and mosquito marketing June, July, and August? Absolutely. Tick and mosquito is huge, and I highly recommend that. I didn't say that in your upsell. I just, you know, I'm really focusing on that spring, those new customer sales, not those upsells in this particular plan. So Shar has offered. I have a couple people that offered to help out and volunteer. I'm gonna, since I'm so familiar with what you're doing and where you're at, I think we'll jump into and look at, let's see, and have you volunteer. So give me 1 second here while I get started here. Let's see, and I need to figure out. Shar, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you if that's okay. I think you'll have to unmute as well. Shar, can we hear you?
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Very good. How about you?
Good. Thanks so much for volunteering. It really makes it become much more real as we move through this. So I have the blank one up. I don't have the one we worked on. So we're going to kind of go back to the beginning a little bit if that's okay.
Yes.
Okay. So in the spreadsheet, you'll see down here you've got many different tabs. The tabs take you through the steps of this process. And again, it's not something you're going to sit down and be able to do in 5 minutes. It's something you're going to want to really think about and a process that you're going to start going through. So if we start, we've got the pre-work 1 and 2, and this is where you start looking at that big picture. Okay, you're looking at where are you now, what's happening in your business now, and where do you want to go in the new season. So Shar, what's the average size lawn that you guys treat?
6,800.
6,800. And if I remember correctly, that didn't come to you off the top of your head. We had to like really think about that, and we moved that around a little bit, correct?
Well, I know that my average price is $50 to $65, and so I just looked at my square footage and it was pretty easy.
Oh, good. And you're working off a treatable turf that has been measured, or are you working off of lot size?
Treatable turf that's been measured.
Okay. Some people are doing more of a block pricing method, and they can go off of a lot size, and that allows some room for movement in your estimating process. And so I always like to just make sure everybody's talking the same language when I talk about treatable turf versus lot size. And then what is your average price for a 6,800 square foot lawn?
$66.
Okay. And how many applications are in your standard program?
6.
Okay. Now, as everybody can see, I filled in the yellow blocks. The white blocks will automatically populate for you. However, I have nothing locked in this program. I could lock certain cells so that only things fill out, but I want to give you the availability and the option to adjust things as you go along, because what may work for me or what I might be presenting here, you might want to adjust depending on maybe your geographic location or based on your experience, and so we might move things around a little bit. So nothing is locked. If you fill in only the yellow blocks, everything will be good, and it'll auto-populate for you. If you fill in a block that's not yellow, keep in mind that you're adjusting the spreadsheet and you may throw things off as you go along. So for example, this $396 cost or revenue per program is going to be carried throughout this whole worksheet. So if you kind of mess with this, you might be messing along the way. So just keep that in mind. Okay? All right. Moving on to pre-work 2. This is where we start now saying, okay, we know where we're at. We know about what a new program will gain us in revenue. Now as we move into here, we're going to start working at, and this should say 2017, down my 2017 goals. All right, now we're going to be looking at the new year. So, Shar, for 2017, what is your growth looking like? What are you guys looking, how much are you looking to grow by?
Well, for us, we're pushing for a very big growth year, and so it's 172,139.
Wow, you're down to the dollar there. All right, so again, I'm filling in the yellow block, and the 396 carried over from our pre-works, because we know for every new customer we get, we're going to get an average of $396, okay? And then, so that means that they are aiming to get 435 new customers this spring. So this is a really big growth. They're really going after it here. So I commend you, Shar, and I can't wait to hear your stories of the roller coaster this spring will bring. And so then again, the spreadsheet auto-populates for you that they're going to need about $55,000 in order to accomplish that. So, Shar, did you go back and look at your budget and make sure that those are in line?
Yes.
Okay. And then, so again, I'm just reminding you, average, you know, and here I have between 100 and 150. The other I had between 100 and 125. Again, depends on the age and your geographic location, depending on how things go there. Okay, just going to take a second, see if I have any other questions. I'm really having trouble seeing the questions here. I don't think I have anybody else. All right, are there any more questions? Feel free to chime in with questions as we go along, otherwise I'm going to keep moving. So we've now decided, or we've figured out, Shar would like to get, her company would like to get 435 new customers this spring, which sounds totally overwhelming. I can't even imagine where they're going to begin. But if we look at our monthly goals, we've been able to break them down. Now, I went off of a bell curve here, and it looks like I even took my buffer out a little bit. I must have been messing with this one. But this bell curve, it says I'm going to get 10% in January, 20% in February, 35% in March, 35% in April, and another 20% in May. Okay, so there's no buffer built in here. I usually do have a buffer built in. So keep that in mind as we move through. Now, Shar went back. She gathered the data, and again, this is why it's not locked. Shar, in January, what percentage of sales do you usually get?
Let's see, on average of a couple of years, 4.84. And so for January, I showed 22.
You showed how many?
22.
I'm doing something wrong. I can't see my screen here. Not duplicating. Let's do this. Work. What percentage is it? About 5?
5%.
That's what I was doing. I was missing a 0. 22. There we go. Okay. And February, you had what percentage?
20%.
Oh, so I was on there. So that's 87, right?
Yes.
And March?
March, 35%.
Okay, so we're going good there. April?
25%.
And May?
15%.
So just keep in mind, as you change those, you want to make sure that you're adding up to 100% there, which I didn't check her, but I would go back and add my percentages up. I'm assuming she's at 100%. She shifted some of this May into that January, and that's why these are not locked, okay? None of these formulas are locked. So if you don't touch it at all, it'll auto-populate on you into a bell curve. If you have some history, then you can definitely go back and manipulate those bell curves. And then from there, I really just, the spreadsheet continues to break this down into manageable chunks, okay? So it goes from up here in January getting 22. Now we're going to use a bell curve on that 22, and we're going to come off of the holiday and that first week try and get 2 sales, all right? Seems, you know, our 435 now seems like a far distant cry, right? We're just going to get 2 sales. And then the next week we're going to get 3 sales, 4 sales, 5 sales, 6 sales. We're just building. They're getting that machine moving. They're getting warmed up and getting those 22 of 435 sales out the door, right? And then in February, things start to ramp up. I think you're in a somewhat of a warmer climate. Is that correct, Shar? You're a little more south?
Some year. Well, yes, I'm in Oklahoma.
Okay.
So we get some snow and some not.
Okay. So her years shift from year to year, but here in February, she starts to ramp up, okay? And here she's, you know, made a big jump in January to February. So we've got 17 that first week, then we're going to 22, 22, 25, but their machine was working up here. They had things going out, they have campaigns, they have work, they've started their engine up in January. And now in February, once they've gotten that moving, now these goals start to become a little more realistic. Even though they jump, they've done their work. They've moved them along throughout, moved the machine along. So they start to jump up a little bit, but things are moving, and then it doesn't feel so hard then. And this just continues to break it down week by week, month by month, all the way down through May. Okay, so, and it'll do all that work for you. And then if you, each week, if you start gathering your data, say this first week she only got 1 sale and it was a light program, so she only got $250. I could type in for that 1 sale, then it's coming over here and it's going to start adding them up. And it'll add it down here in your total, so you'll start to be able to see how close or how far you are off of it as you go, and you can start continuing to adjust your numbers and start seeing, okay, where do we need to add, where are we good, where are things that may be ahead of schedule because of weather, you know, so you can really gauge how your year is going by actually putting in your sales each week then, okay? I'm going to check again. Things are going, we're moving along pretty good here. And so no questions. I'm going to keep moving. So from here, you've planned out the year. You know where you want to go, right? And you've broken it down into manageable chunks. It doesn't seem like this huge number that could be really overwhelming. And so that's great, Nicole. You just told me we've got these numbers, but now how do I get those sales? Where are they going to come from? So going back, there are 3 categories we're going to talk about. There's a low-hanging fruit category, the Golden Streets category, and the direct mail category. I have them in this order on purpose. Your lowest hanging fruit is your cheapest, easiest sales to go after. If for some reason something happened and you could only do a very small amount, this is where you want to go. You want to go to your low-hanging fruit. It's your easiest and your cheapest. Okay? Your Golden Streets is your second category that's important. Your Golden Streets will really build on the health of your business. It's going to be a little more expensive, but overall it will help the health and the P&L on your business. And so Golden Streets is your next really great opportunity. And then direct mail. Direct mail, so many people tell me direct mail doesn't work, not doing it. And yeah, if you do one thing, it doesn't work. But again, thinking about our marketing machine, how can we continue to stay in front of people as we go through these categories? And so direct mail really becomes an important piece of that. And then at the end, we'll look at all the campaigns and how they average out. So that's where we're going from here. Looks like I had a question. So somebody asked, why did, where's my mouse? In here I only put 250 because maybe it was a small lawn. You know, I could have said, this is an actual. I'm pretending she really got a sale in this week. It's one. Maybe it was, you know, a $450. Maybe it was a larger sale. Okay, who knows? I'm just saying this is where it becomes actual as opposed to average. So in here, I'm using your 396 from back here. That's the average to be able to plan and create the product, the goals. Okay, but goals are great, but how often are they realistic? So starting to then see how that comes together. That's why you know, it's important to keep tracking it. You might get a lot more smaller lawns, or you might get a lot more larger lawns. And so this is just giving the 395 is just giving you a gauge to be able to estimate and to set your plan in motion. But then reality comes into effect here. Make sense?
Yes.
Do you break down your budget over the 5 months as a per month cost? Do you mark it over the 5 months, or is it less? I mark it over the 5 months for the most part. January is going to be a smaller month, and then obviously February ramps up, March ramps up, April ramps up, and then in May I would start to really ease up. And as you will see down here, when you get down in here, there's goals and weeks, and so you can start putting in what campaigns and all of that. As far as, so that's what I would do. As far as the budget doesn't necessarily lay out quite as easily. You'll be able to see again in those target deadlines, and those action items will allow you to see, all right, here's where some of the money is going to go out. But a lot of times, you know, you're sending mailers out in April, but the money has to come out in February or March if you're planning ahead. So the budget doesn't fall as equally through the months as we would like it to be, which can give us trouble, especially in the spring months when our application prices, you know, the product is more expensive, you know, your pre-emergent is more expensive. So you really, as a business, get hit hard in the spring on your budget between the marketing and the product cost. But we all know that as the year goes on, that averages out, and by fall, it makes it much easier. Let's see if there's any other questions here. I think I answered those. All right, so let's start moving into low-hanging fruit. So low-hanging fruit are people who already know who you are. They are twice as likely to buy from you, okay? These are people who may have canceled your services. They may have other services of yours, so you might have done a design build for them, or you might have done an installation or some mulch for them, or maybe you mow for them. But somebody who has other services but not this category that you're working on selling. Might be somebody who called and asked for an estimate. These are people who already know you, already reached out, you know they're interested, you know that they want to care about their lawn or did care about their lawn. I've had people tell me, oh, somebody canceled my services, I'm not calling them back. Like, why would I use them? Why would I even, you know, call them back? Well, you don't really know their situation. And so maybe they canceled because they were under financial strain, or maybe they canceled because they were going to go to another company and, well, the grass was not greener on the other side. There's a lot of different reasons why people might cancel despite what they might tell you when they cancel. So go back to your cancels. It's a great category and some place you should definitely go after people. Your open estimates, who knows why they didn't close? Maybe they never made a choice. Maybe they made a choice and aren't happy with that choice. But you know that they were interested. They called you. They asked you for an estimate. So they didn't just do that to waste your time. So go back to them. People who have your other services, again, you know they care about their lawn, their property, and you've already done something for them. They already know your reputation. They know how you work, and ask them for more business. And then there's a referral program that kind of falls in here because your current customers are your best customers. So they're your best sellers for you. Let them sell your business. Okay, so let's start back up at cancels, and I'm going to go back to Shar here, and we'll work through this line by line now. So Shar, in the cancel customers, how far did you go back when you pulled this list?
18 months to 2 years.
18 months to 2 years. Now, I had talked to Shar about that, and the reason to do that is because the do not call list, you can continue to call through 18 months to 2 years. So it's a great space to go back. If you didn't get enough numbers here or you had more opportunity to go back further, you could. You just have to keep that in mind. So Shar, in those 18 to 24 months, how many prospects did you have in your cancel customer campaigns?
408.
408. Okay, so that's a good group there. And if you look now, this is I have this closing at a 10% close rate. This is an amazing number. As you get down, you're going to see in the direct mail we're looking at 0.01 or 0.1%. We're looking at very, very small percentages when you get into direct mail. So this, to close at a 10% rate, is an amazing, amazing return on your investment. So that's a great category. Again, it's telling you, and this is a good group for them to call and use. We remember from pre-work 1, it's pulling over $396. So that's already set in there for you. And then, so that means if they get about 41 new customers at $400 cost per sale, they're going to get about $16,000 out of this group. So it's a great campaign. It's really going to give them a lot of revenue. And so now, what are they going to do? What are their costs going to look like? So all I want you to do is send out some kind of a letter. If you're in the Real Green system, it might be just a prepay letter with an insert. If you're not in the Real Green system, or just send them a letter of some sort that says something that you're excited about. Okay, what makes them want to come back? Okay, so an offer helps, a free application or a certain percentage off. Give them a reason why you're excited about this year and why they should come back. So, if you're using Holganix, we're using this new product that allows us to decrease our chemicals. We're really looking to help the environment. These are things that homeowners want to hear and want to think about. So, put something out there in a letter that just helps them think about coming back. Material costs for that, and I'm putting, envelopes, paper, ink, all in there. Not a whole lot of labor in there, but there probably should be some labor costs in there. But you've got a cost of $1 in there for that, and then postage at 49 cents. There's no real additional cost there. We're going to come back to this category. It looks like this campaign then is going to cost $608. So it's going to cost her $608 to go out to 408 people. She's going to get 41 out of this, and it's going to gain her $16,000. So that gives her a return on her investment, or a cost per sale, of $14.90. $15. Remember, I said we want to be between 100 and 125 at the end of our season and at the end of all of our campaigns. So $15 is an amazing cost per sale. So absolutely a great category and great way to go. Now, I told you we're going to come back to this call center cost. I do not fill this in on purpose, but if you were to call all 408 of these people, you could double your return. Okay, so if you were to call, this would actually jump up to a 20% return on your investment. Okay, it's a huge jump, and it really pays off. However, I never include it. I do not include calling in anywhere through this. If you're going to call, it will dramatically change your results, but it's really, really, really hard to do. And so many people have said, oh, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do that, and they don't. So I don't include it at all. If you're going to call, you want to make sure you keep in mind that it's something that is torturous, because you can't put one person on making 400 calls. They're going to get 320 no's. That's a lot of no's. That's a lot of people turning you down. That's a lot of people hanging up on you, and that can become really tiresome. So you want to make it fun. You want to call between 4 and 8 at night. Think about pulling in some people. So say Shar brought in 4 people one night a week, 2 nights a week, from 4 to 8. Put $20 on the board for the first sale. Get some pizza. Make it exciting. Let them build off of each other. Let them hear each other, and it'll become a much easier task than one person trying to make 400 calls and hearing 320 no's. You know, if she has 4 people calling, each of them are going to make 100 calls. They're going to get 80 no's and 20 yeses instead of 320 no's. So it's a great way to boost your campaign, but it's also really, really hard to do, and you have to be very committed to the hours of 4 to 8. Saturday mornings are the best times. George is on from Go Organic. They moved Carol into a more of a sales spot this year, and she said to me, you know, I love Saturday mornings. She can actually do sales from her house, and she says, I get up, I'm in my pajamas, I go in, I get the most sales on Saturday mornings. It is the best time to sell. So, but who wants to get up on Saturday morning and be in the office from, 8 to 1 on a Saturday? Well, nobody wants to do that. But if you make it fun and you only do it a couple weeks, it makes it much more bearable. So again, I don't have this percentage built in, but keep in mind that if you do add that call center, it's obviously going to add some costs that you want to put in here, and but it'll also dramatically change your results.
Do you have an idea of approximately how many calls a person should be able to make in an hour?
I can get that for you. It's a number that I always forget, but I have that number, just not on the top of my head. So let me just make a note myself. How many calls? I want to say, and I'm totally guessing here, but I think it's something like 25, unless you're getting sales and things like that. But about 25, I think, is what you should be aiming for. Okay. Other questions before I move on to the next category here? Let's see. Oh, I have somebody else saying usually 280 to 350 in an 8-hour period, depending on the traffic. So depending on, how things are moving along, I'm way off. I guess I had the 25 number in my head. They're saying 250, but I'll check on that from our experience as well. Let's see. And I think that's no other questions in this category so far. All right. So as we move down in this category, we're going to move down to open estimates. You're going to do exactly the same thing. This letter that you wrote up here, you're going to tweak the language that says, hey, we're really excited about this year. You should join us. Hey, we'll give you a free application or whatever your promotion is. All right. And in this category, you're going to get the same results. You still have a 10%. You should have their phone number because you gave them an estimate. So you should be able to call them and you should be able to get the same results. So Shar, let's look at open estimates. How many are in that category?
For the last 2 years, 363.
363?
Correct.
Okay. So again, you can see here she's got a great return on her investment. It stays pretty much the same of almost $15, and it's going to get her about $15,000 in revenue. So still an absolutely fabulous, fabulous campaign. Again, this is your cheapest and easiest category. Start out in January. This will get your marketing machine moving and get you some results. You might not see the results right away, but they will trickle in over time. So stick with them. Other services. Shar, are you the type business that have people that have other services but not this one that you could upsell?
I made that a different category, and
Okay.
I actually made it into 2.
Okay.
And one is moved customers who I specifically know have moved.
Okay.
That should be an easy, low-hanging fruit.
Yep.
And then I made one into the people who moved into the houses that we've been treating. So
Okay.
I have a moved customers and a moved new resident.
Okay. So
And I usually have.
Go ahead.
And I usually have great results with these 2 groups.
Absolutely.
Like I said, the moved customers already know and love me.
Right. And so that's a great way where this spreadsheet is not locked. It needs to be adjusted for your business and what works for you. So that's great that Shar did that. In my mind, and when I create this, they fell under canceled customers. And I'm going to leave them there for the moment, Shar, and I'm going to use your number for there to just put into other services just because it'll make things easier as we move along. So how many people are in those 2 categories?
180.
108?
So the other services is 180.
180.
And then the referral program.
Yep.
That would be like my total number of customers, right?
Yep.
Okay, so I put 1650.
1650. Okay, so I want to go back up here to other services for a second. So like Shar said, she changed it into moved and moved new resident. So that's great. And you should, again, like she said, she has had great results in those categories. So she should absolutely be able to get a 10% close. And you're sending the same letter that you're just going to adjust your message a little bit. And you're looking at, again, the same return on your investment. Okay, same cost per sale. Great category. When I say other services, I'm usually talking about somebody who has, like I said, a design build business, or you do mowing, or you do some mulching, your general landscape maintenance type things. Use those customers and build those in. I know a couple customers of ours, particularly Go Organic is one of them. They're on as well today, George, and they have a mowing side as well, lawn maintenance side, and they actually had all of their maintenance customers, if they're doing fertilizing, they have to use their fertilizing because the Holganix will not push that surge growth. And so it was really important to them over the years. Now I think they've been a customer, I think they've been using Holganix about 6 years now, so they slowly made that process. They didn't just all of a sudden say it, but over time they pushed all of their maintenance customers over into the Go Organic fertilizing division as well. So really it's important to use those other divisions, those other services that you offer, and make sure again, they know you, they love you, they know what kind of work you do. So hit them up. Get them into this division as well. Okay, and then referral program. This one's a little different than the other categories, but it still falls into your low-hanging fruit because your current customers are your best salesmen. Okay, remember that I said you're looking at a cost per sale average of $100 to $150, $125, $150, somewhere in there. If you gave every customer, every referrer and referee $50 on each side, or $25 on each side, which $25 would be pretty nice. It's a $50 cost per sale. So that seems like a no-brainer, right? So set up a referral program and you should be able to, I broke this down to a 5%. You don't quite get as good of a return on your investment there. Same revenue per customer, they're going to get about $32,000 in revenue there. I still have the $1.50 built in to promote the campaign, so you're still going to mail something to your customer saying, hey, refer us. And so you still have that $1.50 built in to promote it. And then over here I have $50 built in, that you're going to give them, both the referrer and the referee. So you might say, well, I'm going to give them $35 each. So again, you can change this number to whatever it is that you're promoting. Some thoughts on referral program. People have been very creative in here. Again, I'm going back to Go Organic, George. They did a promotion where the person who referred the most amount of people got, I'm butchering this, George, I'm sorry, a whole lawn makeover, just a home makeover. So they had like a whole contest going on, we'd give you, redo your mulch bed, redo your lawn or your beds or whatever. So they've created a whole program out of it that way. Referral programs everybody tends to forget about them in the spring because you've got all these other things going on, and then want to promote it in the fall. And I know that even from our businesses, that would the first thing in the fall, we'd say, all right, we need more business, we need to grow for the end of the year. And where would we go? We would go to a referral program, which a referral program, while it will work well later in the season, the referral program works best in the spring. I also know from experience and from different conversations that money talks. So tell people that you're going to give them $25 cash. I'll send you a $25 gift card. Don't say, oh, I'll give you a free perimeter pest, or I'll give you a free, yada yada, or I'll give you an account credit. You really want to promote giving them the cash, giving them the money back. And I've seen where people turn that around and say, all right, I'll give you $25. Well, then when they call in and give you the referral, you'll say, hey, by the way, I can send you that $25 gift card, or I can put a $30 credit on your account, which to activate a gift card, a $25 gift card, is going to be $4.95 anyway. So you're spending the $30 plus your time and energy to get it and mail it. And most of the time people will say, yeah, I'll take the $30 credit over the $25 gift card. So keep that in mind. It's what gets their attention, but then you can kind of move it over to account credit there much easier afterwards. I've also seen people use big box stores or a gift card to like a certain place, because that gets their attention again. So maybe say a $25 Home Depot gift card. Who can't use a Home Depot gift card, right? You can spend plenty of money in there on anything and everything. So put that out there. The Home Depot, the $25 gift card gets their attention, and then you can do the same thing. So it's good. There's a lot of different ways to build out the referral program. Again, spring is the best time. Money talks. You can see that this cost per sale is a little higher because we've obviously got our $50 built in, so it would fall right in line with these other categories pretty much, though. And so that's the referral category. If we look at the low-hanging fruit category overall, if we average them all out, which I've kind of got it doubled here, it looks like Shar would be getting about 178 new customers of her 435 here. So, she's well on her way. It'll get her $70,000 in revenue approximately, and it will cost her less than $10,000. So her cost per sale in this category is $45.05. So just a really great campaign category here. Again, it's your cheapest, your easiest, and your best return on your investment. So this is where you should start if you haven't already. Lots of information there. What are some questions? Shar, you got something?
Yes, on the referral program. So do you really think 10% is a good number? For some reason on that one it kind of scares me, and I thought maybe 5%.
What do you mean? Oh, yes, I have 5% built in there. I'm sorry. Yep, 5% built in there.
16, okay. Okay, I'm sorry, I was looking at it wrong.
That's okay. I get it. Let's see. I'm looking at questions here. Go organic. Last year they did a $1,000 giant check. Took pictures of us presenting the check and then posted on social media. So they created a whole campaign around this referral and creating this, excitement around presenting a check, $1,000 check to the person who had the most referrals. So, the other thing I forgot about referrals is when you say refer a friend or family or friend, oftentimes what we put out there makes people only think of one person or one thing, or that they're going to refer. Imagine if you get somebody on a street and say, hey, look, you get 5 of your neighbors, I'm going to give you $25 for each one. You now have $125 credit or $125 in your name. Think about promoting that they refer more than one person. Like Go Organic, theirs was whoever referred the most number of people got $1,000, right? Think about presenting the message in your marketing that they should refer as many as they possibly can. Think of, at the grocery store or on bulletin boards, like community bulletin boards, you got all those tear-off pieces. Imagine if you sent something out like that, like, hey, you can refer us to 10 people. Give each one of these to each one of your friends. So you want to make sure you're allowing people to think of the opportunity, not just, oh, great, I'll get a $25 credit, right? You could refer 10 people. You get 10 customers on and you get $250. That's a free year of lawn care almost. Okay? So present that opportunity to your customers so that they can visualize and think of the opportunity there, not just, I'll refer Joe next door. Okay? By the way, the person who won the Go Organic contest, he's telling us the winner referred 7 people, and all of those people became customers, obviously. You want to make sure they become customers. All right. I think that's all on all the questions and everything on low-hanging fruit. Everybody still with me? We're going to go a little long today. I apologize. I hope this is all good information for everybody. Let's jump over into Golden Streets now. Remember I said this is the cheapest, easiest, and best way to start. Golden Streets is where you will build the health of your business. This will really improve your profits in your production, and your Golden Streets are really a key to a really strong business. So I'm going to give you a little story. We're going to back up a little bit in Golden Streets. Hopefully you've read some of our stuff, some of our blogs and information on Golden Streets. But Happy Lawn, I told you we grew really fast, 0 to 10 million over 6 years, and it was a fabulous, fabulous business. Well, one of the problems we had was that we were spread out from northern New Jersey to northern Virginia and all the way out to Harrisburg. We had 8 different offices, and each day, each truck that left those offices had really long routes with lots of windshield time. So take our Baltimore office, for example. That office, if you've ever been to the Baltimore area, you're going around, you've got lots of beltways that go around the cities. And you've got your northern and your southern in Maryland because you're going down around Virginia and D.C. You've got all that traffic. And then you've got your northern around Baltimore. And there's all these beltways that just lock up in the afternoon. Well, we're paying our guys, right, $12 an hour, whatever the rate was, and they're sitting in traffic at 5 o'clock. And if I were them and I wanted to make money, do I want to get back really fast? No, I'm going to sit here in traffic, right? The more windshield time, the less profit, okay? So the more you can build density within your routes, the better off you're going to be. So what we did was we went back through all of our customers and we graded them between A and X. okay? A, B, C, and X. A was a phenomenal customer, meaning there's lots of marketing around them. They have lots of neighbors. It's a great neighborhood that has a real community feel. We had lots of criteria around it. You know, their age, their size, you know, made them an A. And then B was just slightly below that. You know, I couldn't quite say it was an A. It wasn't a huge neighborhood. It was a little on the older side or a little on the newer side when they're not spending money on their lawn yet. But still a great neighborhood. C's, well, now you were getting into a really small neighborhood, or it was hard to get to, or not a whole lot of marketing opportunity or bus stop marketing happening there. Really large or really small, you know, think of your center towns, you know, that have really small. And then X is no way. They're in the middle of nowhere. There's nothing around them. You have trouble parking you're on the middle of a highway trying to get your machine off the truck, and just absolutely disaster. And you know, those customers, you want them. We're not getting rid of them. They're not horrible. But they're also not providing us with a whole lot of opportunity to build density in our routes. Okay? So then what we did was we took that data and we looked at all of our A's, and actually we ended up putting A's and B's together and found our best neighborhoods where we had opportunity to build density. And then we went in, and in those areas we did lots and lots of marketing, okay? They were in all of our normal marketing, so, you know, this low-hanging fruit over here, this letter we created, well, guess what? Everybody in these neighborhoods, we went and got their addresses, you know, we wrote them down, and we sent them that letter. Any postcards that we did or any coupon mailing that we did, we made sure those neighborhoods were in those zones and in those places. And then on top of that, we looked for ways to build personal relationships and gain referrals, be part of bus stop marketing in those neighborhoods. Okay? I recommend 1 to 5 neighborhoods at the most, because you want to be able to get back to these neighborhoods every 3 weeks. Okay? Which means somebody's going to see you every 3 weeks from January till May. Okay, I want your trucks on their way in and out of their routes. I want them to go in and out of these neighborhoods so that your truck is seen over and over again. Your door-to-door marketing is going to happen in these neighborhoods. Do it at bus stop time, first thing in the morning, later in the afternoon when people, you know, are dropping their kids off at the bus and they're out and about and they have time to talk. Think outside the box. We had a neighborhood, we did this, and they had a 5K run, and they were raising money for, I can't remember. Actually, I just had their shirt out the other day. It was 10 years old. I was looking at this shirt from this run. But they would do a shirt, and for the run, we'd be a sponsor. Our logo would be on there. We would do a table, a water table with plastic cups with our logo on it. In that neighborhood, I think there were 500 homes in there, and I think we had about 300 of those homes. So, you know, it was huge home run for us, and people would fight over those routes. Now, I'm gonna really probably date myself here and go back. My husband was actually a technician for that business then. Was way back when, and I was dating him then, and he would have a route in that neighborhood. He'd say, oh, I'm in Bowtree, come meet me for lunch, and I'd go over and I'd find his truck, and I couldn't find him because he would just go lawn to lawn to lawn to lawn to lawn. He'd be so far from the truck because he could just keep moving over and over again. He didn't even have to get back in the truck. He never even had to refill the gas tank. There was no windshield time. He was done at a great time of the day. He got so much production done. He was happy. The boss was happy. And it was a great day for everybody. So really think about how can you infiltrate a neighborhood and become the go-to person. Again, thinking outside of the box. One time we rented an ice cream truck, gave out free ice cream for the day. You know, of course, with a little coupon that says ice cream's on us today. You actually only have to pay for the ice cream of the truck, so it's like $300. It's like no big deal. become part of Easter egg hunts or garage sales or things like that. Really get involved in the neighborhood. You can see here I also have invitation and frisbees. These are great ways to really do something different that sticks and puts your name in front of them. So let's dig in here. I've lectured enough. You've heard my voice for a while. Shar, we need your voice here. Give us, do you have a name of a neighborhood?
I do.
Okay.
Early Wine.
Early Wand. And how many people?
Early Wine.
Okay, I'm going to leave it for now.
121.
121. Okay, another neighborhood?
Willows.
Number?
84. And which I know you said 100, and I think I just got to go back, and I think my salesperson got tired.
And you know, it's a general number. You know, it's hard when I'm sitting in this Philadelphia area. Every area is different. I had somebody in Nashville, and they're like, well, we have this community I want to go into. There's 5,000 homes. And I'm like, all right, let's divide this up, you know, and let's section it off so that we can divide it up. So depending on everybody's area, that number kind of twists anyway. And a third neighborhood.
The third neighborhood, Woods.
Woods. Okay.
W-O-O-D-S.
I just messed that up. Hold on. And the number in there?
141.
Okay. Now, she might have added more. I'm going to stick to these. As we go across, you're going to see that I'm looking to try and get a 5% return. Now, that's a hard return. Remember, that's what we were getting on our referrals. That is not going to happen overnight. It is not going to be an easy number to hit, and it's not an overwhelming number. What I've heard from customers as they do this, the first 10 are the hardest to get. After you get 10, they kind of start rolling in because they see it over and over and people are talking about it. So, you know, you're over time in these communities, you're looking to try and get 10 because after 10 they should kind of roll out on their own. But again, I'm looking to get a 5% in this one season. I'm going to get $396 as we know. This revenue on this campaign is $2,400. But I'm going to touch them 5 times. That means I'm going to spend $1.50 5 times. Okay? I'm going to spend over $1,000 or almost $1,000 this spring in this community, giving them or promoting to them or spending money in that community in one season. Okay? It's something that you have really good intentions and it's really easy to say, oh, yeah. It's really easy to then kind of lose this concept as you get busy and this one's calling, that one's calling. By the way, you get a courtesy call, somebody calls in, my weeds, you know, they all pop at once. Everybody wants you to come at once. Are you going to go see your A customer first or your X customer first? It allows you to start really knowing who's your most important, who are you going after. So, you know, somebody in Early Wand calls, you better jump, right? Somebody in Willows and Woods call, you're going fast, okay? You're going to make sure they are happy and they are ready to refer you to their neighbors because you're going to build density in these neighborhoods. So if we look at all of Shar's things here, we're going to get about 17 new customers. It's going to give us about $7,000 in revenue. It's going to cost us $2,500. So that cost per sale of $149, that's a little on the higher side when you look at your average cost per sale and what you're aiming for. However, we did the math. We had to present this to a board, and you can actually afford, you know, I said between $100 and $150, you can actually afford to spend as much as $250 to get the neighbor of an existing customer and still break even. Because there's so much built into your truck cost of going out, each application, and that windshield time, and your wear and tear, and there's so much built into that. There's so much cost there that if you don't have to move that truck, you've saved that much money in production. So you could actually afford to do double these numbers almost, right? Double this up, and you're still going to break even because you're going to help your production so much. You're helping your P&L here. So this is really about the health of your business. Becoming involved in their communities, in their associations, in their activities is really key to getting to know them. And this is really an important category. Okay. Just about ready to move on from Golden Streets. Before I do, I'm going to take a look at questions again. Anybody have questions on Golden Streets?
When on one of the choices here it says invitation, frisbee,
Yep.
invitation. I think the word's just messing me up. What is that supposed to look like?
Give me 1 second. I'll show you that in 1 second. What do you suggest to put in the name field for if you don't have the name? Like, so, you know, you heard Shar say one of her guys went out and got all the addresses in Willows. Well, he got tired and didn't get them all, and he doesn't have their name. He just has their address. I like to be creative. Lawn lover. Leave it blank. You know, even if you put current resident, it's, you know, it's just
I got one.
Go ahead.
Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner. They never see the homeowner.
Oh, yes. That's a good one. You always want to put a real stamp on it. If you put postage paid, I don't open any of that. Oh, look, it's just got that postage paid. Throw that in the trash, right? So really think about what that envelope looks like, and that's good. Mr. and Mrs., that's good. Mr. Homeowner. Okay. And then I don't think I have any other questions other than Shar saying invitation. So I'm going to show you one. And I'm sorry, we're going a little long. I hope this is really helpful information for everybody, and it gives you what you need to walk away and really create a great plan for 2017. So here's an example of invitation that I created. You can get 5x7 paperwork or plain paper at Target with the envelopes. It's a little expensive, but it's worth it. And what I want you to do, if you send this out in January after people have just gotten Christmas cards, you send it. It looks like a card or an invitation to a party. No return address. You don't care if they get it or don't get it. You don't need it back. Okay, and inside a nice piece of cardstock, so it really looks like something they're going to open. They need to open. When they open it, your logo jumps out, so now all of a sudden they see your name and logo really fast, and a really simple message. So this was for a company called Pure Green. Pure Green is excited to offer Eagle View Farms. So it's their community name. They've made a connection between Pure Green and Eagle View Farms. It's an offer. Right? You might also say Pure Green is excited to partner with, depending how comfortable you are with that. A more sustainable approach to great green grass. That was his tagline. So he's just playing off of his name. He threw the sustainable in because of the Holganix. Call us to receive the special pricing of. Now, this price is not his normal price for that size lawn, but he's going to give a whole community that whole same price because now it's easy to price. Neighbor's going to talk to neighbor. They all know what their price is. And again, you've got so much room in your P&L for a neighbor of an existing customer. So if you can get this community, even if you have to offer a lower price per application, it's a great deal for you. And then he again throws in the organic nature. Our organic hybrid program reduces pesticides by 50% while still giving you the lawn you love. His address and phone number, or his website and its phone number. Just a real quick, this was done in Word, as you can see it. They printed it right in-house. Nothing complicated or anything like that. Just make it simple and get them to open it. Again, if this is something in January, it's something that just starts them seeing your logo and their name together. They opened it, they saw a price, right? Again, you might not get tons of calls right off, but you're in that marketing machine. They've now connected and started seeing your name and information. You know they opened it. Okay? Shar, did that help?
Very much. Thank you.
Yep. All right. I didn't have any other questions on Golden Streets. I'm going to keep going here. All right, direct mail. Again, this is the one where people say, oh, direct mail doesn't work. And it's just a place to continue to be in front of people. And the postage company, the United States Postal Service, has made it so inexpensive by using every door direct mail that it makes direct mail worth doing. So there's two schools of thought in this direct mail. One is to be personalized, and I didn't have a good example of this for a really long time. And but if it's personalized, you're more likely to get somebody to look at this. So last season, I don't think this person had ever heard me talk or anything. It was local. They sent a postcard out, and it was a pretty lawn, you know, like we have on our postcards, and the sky, nice clear blue sky, their logo at the bottom or something. But in the sky, in the clouds, it actually spelled my husband's name, Jason. The clouds said Jason. It was not, it didn't pop and scream Jason off there. It was just subconscious enough that I looked down at this postcard and saw my husband's name. I quickly looked at that and thought, wow, look at that. That's pretty awesome, right? Read the postcard, moved on. Now I'm looking through my coupon mailer, my hometown magazine, I think it was, that has the ads in it with the coupons. And don't I see that same company? Now, I'm probably a little more aware based on what I do and my history, but because he had already caught my attention with the personalized postcard, now I recognized his logo in a coupon mailer, and it jumped off the page at me. So it just made that connection there. For me, I just thought that was some amazing marketing there. And like I said, I hadn't had an example that anybody had done of the personalized, but there's an example where they made it personalized. They must have bought a list, or they had our name somehow, but they knew my husband's first name, and it just jumped. And even though it wasn't my name, it still jumped. The other school of thought is to go generic. Personalized is going to cost you more money, so you're probably going to send less, but you're going to get a good response. Generic, you can probably do cheaper, so you're going to do more and get the same number. So I think they pretty much average out. If you're going generic, again, you've got the United States Postal Service Every Door Direct Mail. If you haven't done your research, go Google Every Door Direct Mail. Go to the United States Postal Service. Don't go to some other company. And I think you can mail for about 25 cents a piece. Okay. Depending how many you're printing, I think that includes printing costs as well. I've seen it go up to about 35 cents depending on how many and the print costs and things like that. I think it's 15 cents to mail through Every Door Direct Mail, and then I add 10 cents in for printing, maybe 20 cents in for printing. So it just makes it really, really cost effective in that way. You don't have to be, you know, super creative to create this personalized and get the list and Makes it simple, and you can just get them out. It is not something you can do one time. Okay, so I've got January postcards, March postcards, April, May, right? I'm doing the same list of 5,000 4 months in a row. I'd probably go late January. I'm missing February. How did I do that? That's silly. And I've looked at this spreadsheet so many times, I can't believe I didn't catch that. So here you've got your postcards going out every month, all right? If you look, I just picked a random number of 5,000 here. I'm giving this a 0.1 response rate, all right? A very, very small number. But that 0.1 response adds up over months, okay? And it's just another place where people are seeing you, seeing your name in a fairly cost-effective way. So you can see here in these campaigns, 5 customers, going to get her about 2,000 customers. There's no material costs because it all goes through that Every Door Direct Mail at 25 cents. Total campaign is $12.50. Your cost per sale here is $250. So if I'm looking at this campaign alone, I would not do it, right? That's just silly. That's way off. Keep that in mind, right? I'm telling you, it's part of the marketing machine. You can do it in a somewhat cost-effective way, but it's still giving you a cost per sale of almost $250. Okay, so it really becomes a little crazy. But in the big scope, in the whole marketing machine, this becomes part of the cost per sale, part of that average, and then it makes more sense. Okay. Shar, did you pick numbers or think about lists or things that you wanted to do this to?
I'm thinking I can get a new homeowners list
Okay.
from one of the chambers I belong to. I have to admit it's a really low rate of return.
Yep.
But if I was going to do it, that's who I would do it to that group.
Okay. All right. And you're not the first person to say that, so I'm gonna run with it. Stay on that number, and tell me how many would you think is on that list?
Actually, I'd say maybe 200.
Right.
If when I narrow it down to like the 200 people I'd really like to get.
Okay. So you're really, it's looking at that low of a number. You're not even getting one customer, right? Even after 4 mailings, okay?
And that's what I saw in the past.
Right. So if you're looking at that, we're gonna leave that now because we're coming to the end where the analysis is really important, and I want to look at that. So I'm going to leave it in there for now, and we'll come back to it, okay?
Okay.
Measured properties. Do you have like just a general blank list in your system where you just bought a list sometime and had some measured properties that you could send a letter out to?
I don't.
Okay, so I'm going to put a 0 there. That would be like buying lists. Brand new companies often have to come back to here because they don't have their universe started. Okay, and I have Valpak here. I can call that coupon mailing. It can be anything: money mailer, RSVP, the catalogs as well, hometown, clipper, any of those coupon mailings. Again, this is one that people say, oh, I don't get anything. I don't get any return on my investment here. But usually you're sending things to zones, and there are 10,000 homes in a zone usually. And so you can, if you did this again 4 months in a row, you're sending to 40,000 homes. I'm sending one zone 4 times. You're hitting 40,000. My return on my investment is like stupid. Is like 0.02%, right? You're getting very low return, but it still gives you 8 customers. It would gain you about $4,000. And it would cost you probably about $2,000. So your cost per sale, again, is still up high. It's still up in that $250 range, okay? This category seems a little crazy, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Seems like throw it out the window, right? So let's go over to our campaign overview. All right, so this campaign overview took all of your campaigns from every single sheet here, all 3 of those sheets. It brings them over and combines them all out, okay? It brings all your numbers over, how many sales you should get if you get the return on investment, without calling or anything like that. Your revenue per sale carries over, your revenue per campaign, and then your total cost. So people were asking along the way, how do you budget it out? How do you know how much each campaign is going to cost, when it's going to hit? You can kind of start to see how much and when along the way here. This isn't carrying over right. I'll try and fix that before it gets emailed to everybody because that's way off. What's happening? I gotta fix this. Hold on, because it won't work what we need to do. Sorry, guys. when you're on stage, it never quite works the way you want it to, right?
Mm.
Maybe we are on the right. We are right. This is right. I'm sorry. It's just so low because you've got so little in these areas. Okay, so here, Shar's,
Right.
again, we're bringing this back to reality, right? I didn't just make numbers up. So normally people won't volunteer usually, and I'm usually faking it and throwing numbers in. And so when I throw it in, when you do more in these categories, they're more expensive, and it really throws your cost per sale off, right? And it would make this jump up closer to $125. Okay, is usually where I end up. Okay, so this looks really great. A $62 cost per sale. You're only spending $13,000, but there's a problem. What's the problem? Do you know, Shar?
Not sure.
What's
I
your
don't.
goal? What's your goal for the season?
How much money I want to make, you mean?
How many sales do you need?
435.
And according to your campaign overview, how many are you going to sell? 204. You're only
204?
You're only halfway there. You've only spent $13,000, and remember I told you down here you're going to need to send $54,000 to get to that number, right? So you're going to need to spend more money somewhere, whether you do more neighborhoods, which is very labor intensive and would be hard to do. You can't really gather any more in your low-hanging fruits. So what's left?
Well, I can get 204 customers basically that call me, and I don't really have to do anything out except for just put signs out.
Okay. So again, you're looking at different companies, and this makes it really real, and I really appreciate your participation, Shar. Their business has been around for how long?
15 years.
15 years. They've got a pretty large universe. They've got a pretty good following, and they put some yard signs out, some large yard signs, correct?
Yes.
And they get 200 sales just from being around, being involved in the community, and evolving. If this was a 3-year-old company, 4-year-old, probably even 6-year-old, depending how aggressive your marketing has been, you're going to have a problem because you're not going to be able to get 204 customers just because you've been around, just because you have a good reputation, just because you're part of the community. You're really going to have to do something. And so you can't do any more low-hanging fruit. You can't do any more golden streets. Where do you go? You can go back. I would go back and do more direct mail. You might have to buy a list. You might have to find different routes. I'd find those routes that lead right around your golden streets, and I'd build up your direct mail. So I'm going to just go out on a whim here. I'm going to bring this back up to 5,000. 5,000, 5,000, 5,000. I'm going to leave the measured properties blank for a second, and you can see now our cost per sale still right about where it was.
Now, where do you see how many customers I would get, total customers from everything?
Right here, down at your total. So your campaign goal is your customer goal for each campaign. So this is the number of customers. Okay. So we'd be at 223, right? So even at 5,000, we haven't really hit her goal. Now this was a really big goal, and Shar knew that she has the 200 that just come kind of with nothing, right? But they have a new sales manager, and they're changing their approach a little bit, and so they're broadening. So this is where this template has to work for your company, and you've got to work with it and figure out where you land when you fill out all of those different categories and you say, okay, where am I going to go from here? Shar says, well, I just know that's kind of part of what's going to happen anyway, right? I've got some yard signs, and that's that. Other companies, you're going to have to go back and put it in perspective. Maybe that's all the growth you're going to get this year. You're looking at spending more like $20,000 and you're going to get 222. All right. Maybe
You need to make more phone calls.
maybe make more phone calls. Yeah, we didn't put phone calls in our low-hanging fruit. So maybe we'd go back and say, yes, we're going to double our return here, and we're going to call those. Maybe we add another community. Maybe we add more direct mail. So we're going to maybe we go up to 10,000, you know, figure out 10,000 and see where that brings us. You know, it brings us now 48 in this category. We're creeping up, right? And you got to remember, if you're doing this whole thing and you're doing it at big numbers, it kind of, the wheel is turning and results start to come. If you pick one or two or three and you're kind of hit or miss and you're not following through on these, your marketing machine is not moving, and then it slows things down. It's an upward spiral or a downward spiral. So you just got to kind of make sure you're in line there and know what you want and how it's all affected. Okay. Another thing to do is to think about buying a list. You know, maybe we go out and buy a list of 5,000 people with certain criteria, and we know, you know, these criteria, certain income and all of those things, and we buy a list. Your list is going to be closing at a low rate as well, because it's a blind list. You're looking at 0.01, but it's a list, right? It's some place to start building that universe. And so new companies, younger companies, sometimes this is where they need to go, is looking at that list. And little by little, this starts to balance out, okay? You can see our cost per sale has gone up. Our campaign costs have gone up. We're spending closer to our amount of money, but we're getting closer to our goal. Does that make sense, Shar?
That was awesome. I just now understood the whole picture.
It really helps to have a real company as well. So again, I really appreciate that. I've got to think there's got to be some questions out there. So what are you guys thinking? Somebody says, don't forget about your local newspapers. They usually have a spring home improvement section. So that's a great place to advertise as well in the spring. George, I'm going a little long. I see your comments, but I'm going to, because I've gone a little long, I want to jump on a little bit. Let's see. So somebody's saying the measured property, where's my mouse? The measured property costs more than you're even going to get. You're right, it is. But again, this is where a younger company has to start. How do you build that universe? How do you start growing your business? If Shar couldn't say, oh yeah, we've been in the community 15 years and we get 200 sales doing nothing, then where do you go? And so a lot of times you have to start with a list, and you start growing that list, and you start putting your feelers out, you start making cold calls, and you start building that universe. Imagine a new company that has none of this, you know, maybe they've been in business 2 years. Several companies I call, they'll say, or talk to, they'll say, well, I've had 20 cancels in the last 2 years. Well, 20 customers in there gets you like, what, 2 customers? So, you know, when you've got small groups to work from here because you're a young business, this is very labor intensive. You can only do so much of it. That's why I say pick 3 to 5 neighborhoods at the most. Keep them under 300. This is very, very labor intensive. So, you know, you can only do so much of this. All right, well, where does that leave me? How am I going to get new customers? You got to go out, you got to find your routes that you want to go after, buy lists that can tell you who are more better prospects based on income and home value and things like that, and doing this more expensive stuff. Yes, the campaign costs a lot and you don't nearly get your return, right? You're over here, you're only going to get $2,000 and you're going to spend $7,000. Like, that sounds crazy, but it's the cost of buying a new list right off the bat, and it's just that cost of pushing that out and getting things started. Yeah, new homeowners list can work. They're a great list, and especially if you can measure them and send out a price. All right, I've gone really, really long today. I'm gonna skip through a couple things. Most people, you're overwhelmed by you get to this point. I'm gonna point out this last tab. Shar had missed this. I had taken it out and she missed it. So now you're like, all right, this is great, but I broke it down, and we set a goal. We broke it down into manageable chunks. Then we looked at where are we going to get those sales from, right? Now, where does the work come from? Like, oh my goodness, now where do I even begin in all those categories? So now if you go back and start saying, okay, the first week in January, the first campaign I'm going to run, I'm going to go back to my low-hanging fruit. I'm going to start by doing my canceled customers, okay? And I'm going to mail them. So I'm going to do my cancel letter. I can't spell right now. And I'm going to mail it. And I forget, there was like 400 in there, right? And then I'm going to go to my first neighborhood, and I'm going to get my invitation out in that first neighborhood. And that first neighborhood had 120, right? That first week you're back from holiday, nothing, no third campaign is going to get done that week, right? So let's be realistic. Let's jump down here. Now, we already did our cancels on this low-hanging fruit, so now I'm going to work on my open estimates. So in that second week, I'm going to take that same letter that I wrote the week before. I'm going to take open estimates. I'm going to mail to them, and I forget how many were in there. I'm just going to make it up to keep moving. 200 are in there. Now I'm going to go to neighborhood 2. I'm going to take that invitation and just tweak the neighborhood name, right? And I think we said there were 84 in there, right? Now we probably have time for our third campaign. If you're going to call, this is where you start to call. I'm going to call these cancels that I mailed the week before. So I'm going to start that calling, okay? Then I'm going to come back, and my next category in low-hanging fruit, I'm going to go to other services, or as Shar calls them, the movers. And I'm going to mail that same letter to them, and making up a number. And then I'm going to go to neighborhood 3, and I'm going to do my invitation again, right? Just tweaking it a little bit. I think we had 181 there. And then now I probably am still going to be calling cancels. 2 weeks it'll probably take to get through 400, so I'm going to leave that in there. Okay. Now I'm going to come back, and I've gotten through all these. I'm gonna move on to my referral program. I really want my referral program to go out this spring. I don't want to wait till fall on it, and that's going to take some work. It might take 2 weeks worth of really working through that campaign. But in the meantime, I'm also going to be working on my neighborhoods again. I'm going to go back to neighborhood 1, and I'm going to throw frisbees now. Okay. Keep in mind, we're looking at the beginning of January, or the beginning of February almost, and it's a great time, right? And she's back in neighborhood 1. She can now start calling open estimates because she should be through the cancels. Okay. That referral took 2 weeks. We're going back to neighborhood 2. So again, this is just a way to start looking at each of those campaigns, breaking it down, and not feeling like, oh my goodness, all those campaigns, that's so much work. Where am I ever even going to begin in this? Okay, start breaking it down week by week and what goes out and what needs to be done. Make sense?
Yes.
All right. If I jump back to my PowerPoint for 1 second, I think this is a really important slide, is the mistakes that people make. Okay, so I had somebody who came to me and they're like, it just didn't work. I spent the money and I didn't get the return. And what did I do wrong? And we went through and I was racking my brain. They put a lot of costs into the marketing budget that I don't think belongs. That's the way they do business. That's the way you do business. You just have to keep that in mind. So they put things like lawn signs. Well, you're going to get lawn signs anyway. They got new sales materials. Well, you're going to need new sales materials anyway, right? You're training your guys to sell. So make sure that things that are just the cost of business don't fall into this category. You're really looking at things that go to prospects as costs that fall into this category. So many people don't do enough things or don't do multiples. You know, one postcard, one thing in a neighborhood, it's not going to get you much, okay? Golden streets, they're very labor intensive. People forget to overdo it in there. You know, time gets away from you, things get crazy in the spring, and it just becomes craziness, and golden streets fall to the wayside. A lot of people come back to me like, oh, I messed up the spreadsheet. If you're not going to mess with the formulas, then make sure you stay in the yellow cells. And when you get to the end, like we just talked about with Char's company, really make sure you're looking at the end and analyzing, is this the number I'm trying to get? What happens if I want more? Or what happens if I get less? And make sure you're analyzing, is this really where you want to go and how it's going to work? And in there, we didn't talk about adding inbound. You know, there are companies that will do it for you now. That company, Pure Green, that you saw that invitation for, he had some non-compete issues, and he went to an all inbound method and had a company help him, and he's done tremendous. We've got a blog on him, so if you're looking up Pure Green on our website, you can see how he really used inbound methods and changed the direction of some of his sales. So inbound is a great way to add to this. So, you know, you got to that 200 and you don't want to add any direct mail in. Okay, then how do we start building in some inbound areas? Okay. This is my platform that I stand on. If you want to grow your business, there's some things that you got to remember. Make sure you have a great system. People come to me and say they want to grow their company, and I say, okay, well, how do you keep track of your customers? And I literally had somebody say to me once, do you know Rock and Pebble? You know, like he was so far back, he was, you know, using really, really like paper and pencil invoice, you know, index card type stuff. There's a lot of good systems out there. Don't waste your money growing your universe if you're not going to keep track of that universe. Make sure your message is crystal clear. What's your brand promise? Who are you and what do you stand by? Pure green, great green grass. He meant green in many, many ways. So make sure you have that brand promise and what you're promising your customers very clear. In our industry, we all really like to work hard, and we are all over the place. So I find that focus is important. When you look at that spreadsheet, look at one service line. You know, if you do design build and you do lawn maintenance and you do, you know, fertilizing, make sure you're looking at this spreadsheet as one service line and grow that one service line. Don't try and sell everything you do. So many advertisements in our area say, oh, guess what? We mulch and we do this and we do paving and we do snow removal and we do this and we do that. Well, guess what? Nobody even saw that. Nobody even looked at that. It was too many things, and you were trying to sell too much. Focus on that one service line and sell that. Golden streets, focus. That will really help the health of your business, improving that density. I can't say it enough. And KISS, keep it simple, stupid. The more we put in front of people, the more complicated we make it. We've got this program, and we've got that program, and we've got the gold and the platinum and this program and that program. Just sell your program. Keep it simple. This is what we do, and this is what we do best. Here it is. If that's not for them, if that's not how you do it, and that's not what they want, then that's not a good customer for you anyway. Keep it simple. Keep it stupid. Okay, don't over-engineer it. As with this webinar, I went really long, I'm sorry, but we really want to help you grow your businesses. So we do lots of things. We have some homeowner brochures. They were redesigned in the last 12 months. I think they're pretty awesome. But we have those in stock usually and can send them out. There's a spot for you to put your company info on the back. Lawn signs. Make sure you're using that to sell your business. This is what stays on your lawn, your customers' lawns, and it sells people. Don't use just one of those little yellow squares that tell you this is an awful stuff that you just put down on your lawn, right? Promote your business and use that lawn sign. We can help design them. We don't have any in office, and you'd have to have them printed, but we can help design them. Marketing plans, Shar, I worked with her last week a little bit on our last month on this call, and I'm happy to continue helping. So if you want to ask questions or email me or dive into your plan a little more deeper, I'm happy to do that. Conference calls, I've been known to set up calls with people on a weekly or bi-weekly basis if that's helpful to just kind of keep you in line. If you're on the Real Green system, I became a guru in those last two companies, so I can help with Real Green. And then, of course, our website, Kate has done just a phenomenal job with it. There's so much information on there. Please use it, the blogs, the monthly emails. There's just so much content that's there to help you. So use it as a resource. Here's my contact information. I'm not always in the office, so be patient with me. But my email address, the phone number to the office here. If you leave me a message, I'll get back to you as soon as I can, or I'll email you. I'm always happy to help our customers.